Well, this is going to be a very fun video because apparently a bunch of websites are accidentally posting their Redfall reviews a bit early, including a lot of leaked gameplay, and the game is getting some incredibly bad scores. We're talking it can't even hit a 7 out of 10. So let's discuss. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'll be honest, I was hoping Redfall would be a freaking masterpiece because I do think that Microsoft kind of needs a W after a lot of their bad business dealings. The fact that the Activision Blizzard deal is dead. I mean, Xbox sales are actually going straight downward. It's been a rough couple months, so I was hoping this game would actually be good. Well, right now, apparently they are freaking out. A bunch of people, it seems like they gave out certain reviewers of certain Xbox channels and websites had early access to Redfall, and now they're taking down everything that's getting just, sort of leaked online before the release date, which is technically tomorrow. In fact, they even deleted their own banner image because they're going so copyright heavy, but let's try and hope for the best when it comes to this. So what we have here is a very long, very in-depth, completely crazy negative review for Redfall. In fact, you can scroll all the way to the bottom here and see that it got a 4 out of 10. My lord. So technically this actually got posted and immediately deleted on a website called Noisy Pixel, but I managed to actually grab a screen grab of it before they were able to take it back down. So this is their full review of the game itself. You can see they actually have a YouTube video ready to go as well, but they have put that back on private before accidentally posting it. So what happened is, it sounds like tonight at 10 p.m. Texas time is when they're allowed to actually post reviews. So when the game comes out, they're legally allowed to talk about it, which I don't like that. I feel like the better your game is, typically, the more you're willing to post stuff before the release date to build hype, to build pre-orders. But I guess because it's a Game Pass game, they know that, a lot of people are going to play it no matter what. Well, apparently a reviewer just a bit ago also posted a big gameplay-filled review, which I watched before that got taken down by the lawyers. And the guy gave it a 6 out of 10. He said that, the game is fun. It's got some pretty good performance on PC. It's got some texture loading issues. But the biggest thing is, from that guy's review that I watched, he showed that the AI is terrible. The vampires that we're actually battling against are not particularly intelligent. A lot of times if you go through a doorway or something, they just can't follow you. So in the video that guy posted, he would straight up just, get a zombie to chase him, get a vampire to chase him, walk into a house, and they just keep going in and out of the doorway to have those vampire walk towards him and then walk away. So clearly the intelligence of these guys, not the best. But I want to take a look at chunks of this review. Microsoft, please don't sue me. I'm reading their review, so this is totally fine. I'm going to be making my own review tomorrow as well, but here we go. Redfall review, blood-suckingly painful. From its reveal, Arkane Austin's Redfall has made me a bit confused. Although I love the idea of traversing a vampiric-ridden world with the freedom this developer typically provides, I couldn't help but question if this game was really what we needed right now. After a few delays before its release, it's evident this game underwent some changes as it balances its multiplayer elements and loot collecting, but the experience largely lacks direction. Yikes. Okay, so not a good opening statement. Now, here we go. Redfall has you choosing between one of 4 major characters: Devinder, Layla, Remi, and Jacob. They each trapped in Redfall after a series of events has led to a vampiric invasion. The way to town is trapped from the outside world is actually really cool, with waves of surrounding water creating this inescapable wall. Anyway, the reasons for reasons not expanded on past the opening chapter, the character you choose has access to special abilities. So it's basically an in-universe reason for why you guys have magic. The first mission is to save civilians from a firehouse, which becomes your new base. However, it's currently overrun with cultists, so you clear it out and everyone inside returns to business as usual. I never cared or interacted with these characters after. Interacting with them provides no real insight into who they are or why I'm helping them. Man, this game sounds really freaking bare bones, which is weird because Arkane is typically some of the best when it comes to big game design. But here we go. The opening cutscene has them leave their safe room, and then we get a montage of people setting up the firehouse to be a base, but this would have been a lot better having it have been a mission where we could set it up together. I mean, even after the base was just overrun, it seems like these people are already vampire hunting experts. I was in a state of disbelief because the relationship between main characters and these civilians was never expanded upon. Okay, yeah. I'm really afraid because this game does sound very games as a service. This game does have a battle pass or a content roadmap. It is always online. It does sound like very much that this game is going to be very much about skip the plot, just shoot some vampires, and when he gets bored, delete it off your hard drive. Here we go. Another issue I had is how these villains let the firehouse get taken in the first place and how they were so sure it wouldn't happen again. The back gate is even unlocked. There are no defenses surrounding the place. I mean, it doesn't seem like these enemies lack firepower, so why not just plan another attack? I can usually get past these things because it's a video game, but man, they left a lot of inconsistencies on the table. Now let's actually scroll things down. Let's find some talk about the combat. Here we go. The main characters never interact with or strategize during multiplayer. It's mainly found during boss battles, as one player can act as the decoy while the others deal damage. But the overall design has little to no diversity. Outside their specials, each player plays the exact same and shares similar skills. However, with some characters being a healer class, it's tough to consider playing as them through a single player. Okay, well that's good to know. If you're playing this by yourself, do not play the healer, because that definitely sounds like a bad time. Now, I have seen some of the leaked gameplay that's been getting posted online, and it does seem like when it comes to multiplayer, one person does kind of just run in a big circle while the boss is mad at them, and everybody shoots it in the backs. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, instant victory. But here we go. As gameplay continues, this trend of strange systems. I played on normal difficulty for review purposes, but there are multiple options and even an unlockable higher difficulty. The game flow has you choose a mission, then set off in that direction. Nothing is blocked off from the player and you can go anywhere. That said, there's very little reason to. God, that's pretty harsh. I spent most of the missions just running from one place to another without encountering any enemies. Yeah, so in one of the leaked chunks of gameplay that's kind of gone viral on Twitter, the city is very empty. There's not really anything interesting. A lot of the town looks almost procedurally generated because it's just boring rectangular buildings sitting there with no lights on. It does sound like you kind of just run from place to place. When I got to the objective, enemies were around, but their AI is limited. In fact, I could run through an area, alerting enemies in the process, head to the objective marker, and then turn invisible using Jacob's power, and all the enemies would just go on their way. Once you complete the mission, you can fast travel back to the base, and even when enemies are around, the progress is the same. Holy heck, that's terrible! That's bafflingly bad. What the heck? Very weird. I feel like this game's going to get some hot fixes just to fix how overly easy it is. Now, I believe the idea here is to have players approach missions and enemy strongholds in multiple ways, which I usually found after completing the mission. However, I did take advantage of this. I'm sure others will too. Experiences gained after completing missions, making discoveries, or fighting. Aside from some stat increases, I never cared about the skill points earned because the skill tree is insanely boring. It's impossible to get through most of the game without paying attention to it. God! There are options to buff your character's special abilities or hold on to more ammo, but then there are multiplayer exclusive skills that don't matter if you're trying to play in the single-player campaign. Trust me, the entire time I'm playing Redfall, I'm begging to have fun, but the experience is just so messy and dull. Oh my god, this is insane. This also creeps up during moments when you have to fight, which is when the game becomes a bit more frustrating. You see, you lose HP fast, and enemies have a pretty accurate shot, but enemies are grouped up. Let's see here, which adds to the challenge. I died a lot. There's just no way around it. Luckily, there's no real consequences outside of some lost funds, and you'll spawn at the closest safe house or landmark, which you'll discover before heading to the mission. So even though you died, all the enemies you took down and all the damage dealt are still present, giving you a chance to just inch your way through every mission. Unfortunately, it makes the entire experience a pain, given that some vampire abilities can one-shot you. Ooh. Any game where you can instantly die always feels like bad game design to me personally. That said, by the way, this guy starts a lot of sentences with that said. Vampires will be most formidable foes in the game. While most can be taken down quickly alone, groups of vampires are tougher to handle. Throughout the game, vampire nests will appear across the map. As they expand, players will encounter stronger enemy types unless they close the door, which is randomly placed and needs to be found within the radius. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting idea in my opinion, which is that the idea of how you take down enemies is gently randomized. So if you're playing with friends, I'm sure it'll always be a little bit different. I kind of like that. Man. Here you'll run through a linear, alternate reality, fight vampires, probably die a few times, and then defeat the core. You're then given the time to collect the epic loot, and you'll close the door. After a few of these, you should have some of the strongest equipment in the game, so it's good to do some of them. But on the other hand, if you're quick at completing missions, you can just not do them. Defeat the boss and move on to the next area. Oh, and before I move on, the vampires need to be staked after their health is depleted, which sounds fantastic on paper, but if you don't do it fast enough, they revive, which is extremely annoying when there's a large group. Now, I did see that in the leaked gameplay as well. You can hit somebody, you can beat them up, but then you do have to run up, and you basically have a stake on the end of your gun, and you stick it into their chest. It's like a mandatory takedown. Honestly, God, this review goes on and on and on and on about how rough the game is, but let's read this final note here. Redfall is an anomaly because a game with this good of a team behind it can't possibly be this bad, and yet it is. There are these drips of looter shooter, RPG, and multiplayer elements sprinkled throughout, but none of them work together, delivering a messy and almost incomprehensible experience. Still, gunplay and exploration stay consistently fun, thanks to the satisfaction of taking down enemies and the level design. That being said, a single-player game is dull, but the multiplayer campaign could be fun if you're able to laugh at the strange AI behavior or the fact that no one can find keys to a door. 4 out of 10. Now, there is a lot of talk because some reviewers are sort of hinting about the idea, like this is Jez Corden, one of the main writers over at Windows Central. Clearly, he is playing the game and working on a review, and he says, I've stayed awake 28 hours to write a 4,000-word review that nobody will read past the boxed score. Now, to me, that does sort of sound like he's hinting at the fact that the score is going to be probably a 5 or a 6 or something, and he knows that even if he's eloquent in what the game does right and wrong, people are just going to say, 5 out of 10, cool, got it. Yikes. I'm reviewing the game myself. You can actually technically play it right now by switching your console to New Zealand. So I'm going to begin playing it right now. I'm going to try and beat the game in one sitting, do some co-op, test some stuff out, and make a big video tomorrow. So be sure to click that, watch that, and love that. You guys rock. I appreciate you watching this video. If you could, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. Man, another Xbox L, man. The pile grows. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.